Hello and welcome. I'm back from the dead. Today we're gonna go over some block strings and some pressure you can do to open up your opponents with Miyako. Sorry for the delay on this. I wanted to get this out a lot sooner, but I moved to a new place and started a new job, so things were a little bit hectic for a bit. But yeah, let's get right into it. Wait, one thing I do want to make note of before I go into the guide is that Blazblue has rollback now. So if you guys would be interested in also some Blazblue matches, let me know in the comments and I can get you those too. I'm pretty good at the game, so be pretty high level if you're interested. Okay, so first, this video is going to be divided into 3 sections. We're going to go over general practices and things you can do to beat mashers, things you can do to beat people who like to shield, and for people that like to block, what you can do to open them up. Okay, so you started the match, you've used your neutral options to get in, and now it's your turn. What do you do? Well, I'd say that the first and foremost thing you should learn about block strings is the timing of your normals. You see, if I just mash all my buttons, this is just a true block string. I have Shiki here to reversal with 2B as soon as he can. But if I just mash my moves, this is a true block string and it doesn't give him a chance to do anything. So the first thing you should learn how to do is to delay your strings. Just the slightest amount of delay causes a frame trap. You can see here, Shiki's getting counter hit. This obviously beats mashers, but it loses to shield and loses to people who are trying to DP or do some sort of invincible reversal. Okay, one more thing you can add against people who like to mash on defense is understanding frame data. So one thing to take note is that every single one of Miyako's normals, if you don't cancel anything, they're all negative on block. So you don't have a single normal that is positive on block. So what you can do about this is utilize what you do have. Your 5A and your 2A are -1 on block. If you ReBeat into them from any of your C normals, it's also -1. So, what does this mean? If someone is, say, mashing 2A, right? You can do something like that. The block stun from the 2C sort of guards your approach like that. One more thing you can do is wait, if you know that they're gonna mash something, you can just cancel the string with 5A or 2A and then whiff punish them like this. You can send them to do that like that. If you absolutely know that they're just gonna keep mashing on defense, you can outspace them. It works for 2C as well, and yeah, that's a good option against people who like to mash. One extra thing that I want to note is that you should always change the timing of when you ReBeat into 5A. Like, you can't just do 5C into 5A a million times. They're gonna catch on to that and then choose an option that'll beat that eventually. So one thing you can do is to change up your block strings to sort of make them guess exactly when you're going to go into the 5A or 2A. And then throw in delays as well to really just keep them guessing. The whole point of your offense is to make sure they never understand what you're going to go for. And then the last option versus people that like to mash is using your armored moves. If cancelled from a C normal, the block stun allows you to have enough time to have your armor activate. So if your opponent is still mashing, you get a free combo. You armor through all they do, and you get a free combo. Now keep in mind, against really good opponents, they can react to you armoring their moves and cancel the move that they're doing into an EX move, and this will beat your armor. So be careful if they have meter, because they always have the option to go into an EX move when they hit your armor. This also loses to people who are trying to grab on defense, so be careful of that. One last thing to note against people that like to mash is that you have to really understand what exactly normal they're trying to go for, because there's some special move cancels that you can go for that only work against slower normals. Like for example, if I have Shiki set to his crouch A and I go into the overhead from my C normals, I get counter hit. But if he's trying to do, say, stand B, which is a pretty fast normal, then he's going to get counter hit. The same thing applies for going from C into your B elbow strike, and from 2C into your B elbow strike. If they are jabbing, sometimes you'll cross them up as the button is coming out, but most of the time I wouldn't recommend going for this, because they're just going to hit you most of the time. So if you think they're just mashing with A, then don't use these options. If they're mashing with longer reaching buttons, then you can do that. But then again, people usually aren't frame perfect on defense, so you might still hit them if they try to mash out with A, but they just mistimed it. So that's another option to consider. Okay, so now let's move into what to do versus opponents that like the shield. Shield is pretty strong in this game, but not against opponents that know what they're doing. So if you know what you're doing, you can definitely beat shield. It's not too powerful in my opinion. So obviously you can just throw it. It's the most obvious thing. If you're trying to look for some throws, maybe you've done some delay strings in the match, and the opponent's starting to catch on to the fact that you like to delay your normals, and then you're going for shields more. One thing you can do is ReBeat into 5A and then go for a throw. That is a great thing to throw in your offense randomly to always keep them guessing. Next is obviously the high-low mix-up. Most people will be crouch shielding, so if you utilize your overhead, no, this is considering the fact that you've conditioned them to think that you're going to be delaying your strings. So they think a delayed button is coming, so they crouch shield, you're gonna blow them up like that. Another thing you can do is ReBeat your string into 5A and then go for an IAD. This also beats low hitting normals, like if Shiki were to do his 2B or 2C or something, then you would beat that as well. Sometimes their move will bring them out of the corner, so sometimes you might want to go for your JB since it hits on both sides in case they cross you up. They cross themselves up. So yeah, high-low mix-ups and ReBeating into throw, or just going up and throwing them on wake up if you have the guts to do so. Okay, and then lastly, what to do against people that like to block. These people are honestly kind of rare, especially in an anime game. No one really just sits there and blocks too often, which is why I feel like it's a pretty strong option just not to do anything. But there's some things that you should know when your opponent is just blocking. Obviously throw. Going for throw is a good option to do against an opponent that likes to block. Your stomps, 2-2A, 2-2B, and your moon stomp are all plus. The moon stomp and 2-2A are +2. So if I set him to crouch A, it'll trade with that. It'll clash, I think, every time. If I can time it right. Yeah, it should clash. which means that you can. Honestly, I don't think you can go for A because your A is so stubby, it doesn't reach. So I would go into B from your A stomp always, just because of the range. But keep in mind that sometimes you may get a clash, so just buffer 5C, which is something you should be doing anyway, because that's how you confirm the hit. But 2-2B is a little bit slower, but it's +6, so you will undoubtedly counter hit them if they try to press after this. One thing you can do is when you knock them down, you can do this on their wake up on the ground in some scenarios if you want, from a distance. That way it beats. If they DP, they go into the air. For most DPs, if you space it right, they go into the air. But if they stay on the ground and block, you're plus, and you can run up in their face. 2-2-C is minus on block, so don't use this if you're trying to pressure them. Let's see, and you know that's about it really. The whole point of pressuring them is just going for different options, using all your tools to make sure they never know what you're gonna go for, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Really just experiment with how things flow for you and find a feel for the character that you like. Some last things I want to note before I end the video is that another option you can do mid-screen is obviously her cross-up. Now, if you go into the slide, the C extension from the cross-up, it is safe on block. It's -4, so nothing can punish you. So if you can react to that, if you can react to them blocking it, you can keep yourself safe. But most of the time, I like going for this into Moondrive, and then you can get a full combo mid-screen. Check out my combo guide for that. One thing else I want to note is that your armored skill 214B is 0 on block on both the charged version and the uncharged version. So people that aren't ready for this can get counter hit because they think that this is an unsafe move because your 214A is -2 on block. They might think that this is the same properties as that, and they'll try to press afterwards. But if they use a slower button than your A, I would use stand A for most part after this if you're using it like pretty close to them. Otherwise, if you're using it from range, I would go into 5B. But keep in mind, it is 0 on block, so it's pretty much a toss-up as to who's going to win after they block it. So yeah, I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, definitely leave a comment. I will answer them to the best of my ability. And yeah, thanks for watching.